Better? Working it?
Thank you.
No, I mean, that's why she. All right. All right. I'm just
Ready? I want to welcome everybody to the RLE 5-year Planning Workshop. The purpose of this is discuss ideas and plans and alterations and things that our buildings need and figure this out. Okay, we can start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tiffany, if you would please do the roll call.
Kathy Bryant. Holly Gottlieb. Here. Alan McKay.
Here.
Dallas Templin.
Here.
Rico Sapuza. Dan Wilcherson.
Here. Okay, Kathy, Brian, and Rico Spacuzza are excused from today's meetings. I did ask Pam to send them an email if they had any ideas or suggestions. Pam, did they contact you?
Yes, sir. I gave their ideas to Chad.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, announcements of guests. Commissioner Kathy Bryant is here today with us. Tracy Stroud, the Marion County Assistant County Administrator. Chad Wicker, the MSTU Director, and Katie Burton, the Municipal Services Manager. Haven't they changed your title yet?
Municipal Services.
That's what I was wondering. I was
All
going to
right,
ask the
we
same
need to correct this for myself. All right, and we're going right on to the workshop presentation, which I believe is Mr. Wicker.
Good afternoon. Chad Wicker, Municipal Services Director. So I have put together a PowerPoint just to kind of get us started, and then at the end of the PowerPoint, I'll turn it back over to the board and we can start the whole workshop, or if there's somebody else who has a presentation or wants to speak, they can. All right. I passed out a copy of the PowerPoint to everybody, and it's also on the wall. The one that has the logo on the corner is the correct one, in case you got both copies. All right, so just to give a summary of the current funding for Rainbow Lakes Estates, we have three main funds that we work with. We have the Municipal Services District Fund, and in this fund, we have a fund balance of $700,000 that we can use for potential projects or improvements. And this fund is responsible for the main operations and improvements to the Municipal Services District. And then, of course, we have the RLE Recreation Fund. It currently has a fund balance of $150,000 for potential programs. And this fund is what helps support the clubs, the programs, and the activities. And to note that this fund is primarily, it is funded by Marion County residents only. And then we have our third fund that we're going to be working with, which is the Rainbow Lakes Estates Road Improvement Fund. That has a reoccurring revenue of around $350,000 for road improvements, and it's currently carrying a fund balance of $1 million for road improvements. So we've been trying to let it build up a little bit so we can start on the next road projects. All road construction and improvement projects, and it's funded by Levy and Marion County. So we can dive into each one of these a little bit more close. So on the Municipal Services District budget, we have 10 facilities here in Rainbow Lakes Estates. The oldest facility that we have was built in 1961. Only 2 of the facilities have been updated to our knowledge. That would have been the fitness center It was built in 1979. There was a fire that caused it to have to be renovated in 2011. And then our Rainbow Lakes Estates Maintenance Department had a pole barn installed in 2010. And so I just kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of the facilities that we have, the year that they were built, and that they haven't really been touched much since they've been built. I mean, we've done a few, improvements here or there, but nothing major to the buildings. Rainbow Lakes Estates Facilities rental revenue. For the community center, so I have 8 years, or the past 7 years here. And if you notice, I did this slide because I wanted you guys to notice that the rental revenue is actually declining. So back in 2018, our community center here brought in a little over 11,000. 2019 was 8,900, and it's kind of went down there. I don't really have an answer as to why, other than, I'm thinking it could be that the buildings need to be renovated. It could be that we need to look at our pricing to see if we're competitive still with some of our surrounding areas, but just kind of put this on your radar so when we're having our discussions later on in the day, you had these numbers in front of you. Moving on to the RLE Roads Improvement Fund, we actually have a reoccurring revenue of around $350,000 for this, for road improvements. The fund balance, like I was saying earlier, we have about $1 million in there ready to start some new projects, and we'll present some of those roads to you today for you guys to review and approve. Actually, we're going to do it now, sorry. So some of the history is in 2019, we did the Pensacola, Southeast 114th Place in Levy County. 2021, we did Beach Boulevard. And then in 2023, we did Trout Street, Soundview Overlay, and Timberlake Road. So in the last 5 years, we've done around 9.2 miles and spent about $2.3 million improving the roads here in Rainbow Lakes Estates. We did put together some roads that have been identified for future improvements. We've sorted them by fiscal year for you guys to review. And of course, it depends on when we go out to bid on these, how much how much it would cost is how many we can do. And of course, we would adjust them accordingly. Or if there's a road on this list that you don't agree with, or there's something you want added, obviously we can discuss that and make some changes as needed. But in 2024, 2025, we're planning to do 2.8 miles. As you can see, there's 4 in Marion County and 6 in Levy County. In 2025, 2026, we've identified 7 in Marion County and 1 in Levy County. 26, 27, we've identified Indian Hills Drive and Seacliff Avenue. 2027, 2028, we have a total of 2.9, 2 in Marion and 2 in Levy. 28, 29, we have another 2.6 miles. And of course, we're going to continue to monitor these, and if things change, they may change accordingly. Of course, we would bring it back to the board for discussion. And again, this is just what we have preliminarily planned out for your review, and then according to how much it costs when we go to do the quotes is how many miles will actually get done. And then of course, we'll reorganize accordingly. Moving on to the RLE Recreation Fund. Do you guys need a minute to look at the list of the roads? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. Alrighty. The RLE Recreation Fund. The 2024 fund balance for this is $150,000, and I wanted to show here. It's currently at a millage of 0.85, and these values right here are conservative estimates based on current growth projections. So I sat down with the director of budget, and we kind of tried to figure out what it's going to look like in the next 5 years. And if you notice, this budget is pretty much a balanced budget as far as what we're bringing in is what we're expending. And so if we add anything to this budget, it would cause us to have to review and possibly raise that millage rate. But we do currently have $150,000 in that fund for any changes or any one-time expenditures that we want to do. And that budget is some of the recreation, our current activities that we have are our clubs, such as the Domino's clubs, our Fiber Craft Society, Pins and Needles, and our Poker Club. And we've listed some of the year-to-date attendance for 2024. Also, some of the programs that budget supports is the Fitness Center, the Tater Tot Tuesday, Plant Swap, community dinners that we have here, and the Youth Center. And then some of the events, you can see listed there, the Ghost, Goblin, and Gals. Fall Craft Fair, Holly Jolly Christmas Party, the Spring Glow Hunt, Community Yard Sale, our Kids Corner, and the miscellaneous holiday events that we do throughout the year. So just to give you an idea
One
what that
question, I
Yes,
just
sir.
want to know. When you look at the 2024 year-to-date attendance, are these current active members that we have on roll?
Dan, is your microphone on?
Hello?
Yes.
It's the total check-ins.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I had to verify that. Any other questions on this slide? All right.
No, sir.
All right, and then the last few slides are potential items for 5-year plans, and I went ahead and listed on the slides. These are items that I've either heard, or I've received from staff, other board members, or things that I've heard throughout the month sitting on the advisory board meetings. Under general services, some of the things that we may want to, or that you may want to consider in today's workshop is review of all rental fees to become competitive with surrounding areas to help increase some of those rental fees to offset your budgets. Community center parking expansion, we've mentioned that a couple times, the 2 vacant parcel properties that are across the street here. Renovation for revenue generating facilities. The clubhouse, that's currently in progress. We have that in front of the engineers right now, getting a set of plans drawn up so we can take that out to bid and get hard numbers for that. The community center, the youth center building, and honestly, the creative arts center. I went ahead and listed that on there because it could be a possible revenue generating. I didn't realize how beautiful that view was in that building until I went through it. I mean, it's a beautiful site if some renovations were made to the building. And then on the recreation side, we have additional recreation hours to support weekend activity rentals. We can include that in your 5-year plan to make that a goal. The basketball court fence, so that way the alligators don't get to the basketball players. The restoration of shuffleboard, horseshoe pit, or complete redesign of that area if it's something new that the board wants to see there. Disc golf, a bike trail, a nature trail, a beach volleyball court, and concrete cornhole. And that's pretty much all I have. I just wanted to put all of that information in front of you so the board has the tools that they need when they're making the decisions. And then we did include some QR codes on the back if you wanted to scan it with your phone, if you wanted to look at our budget or more information about municipal services, or if you wanted to follow us on Facebook. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to the chairman. I don't know if there's other ideas we want to include, if there's other presentations or anybody in the audience that wants to present some ideas to the board for consideration.
Okay, I do have a question or 2 or 3. I see these roads that are mentioned,
Yes, sir.
and has anybody checked into the roads in the Pines where we have 299 homes, plus 2 being built currently, that these roads have not had anything done to them since the 1960s? And the intersections are collapsing and the piping under the roads is collapsing.
So you're saying the roads in the Pines?
Yeah. It's the most condensed area of residents in Rainbow Lakes. Everybody else is spread out miles apart.
I'd like to add one to you as well. It's a Levy County one. We brought it up multiple times for Riviera, and that would be southeast 125th Court. It used to be Thrasher, if you're looking at your
Thrasher?
Thrasher, if you're looking at the old map.
All right.
Okay, I want to point something out that I'm unsure that the other board members are aware of. The Buildings and Grounds Shop at 24600 Southwest Shorewood Drive North was Fire Station 2. Okay, I don't know if everybody's aware that something was put in there.
Yeah, we're currently just using it for storage for the building and grounds shop.
What's that?
We're currently, all of the tools and stuff that we're using for building and grounds is where we're currently storing it in that building.
Okay.
Yeah, just,
And this nature trail,
yes, sir.
is this the trail that's been being constructed for at least 7 years over here on Southwest Ivy and nothing ever gets done with it?
Yes, sir, it's the same trail.
And I would question whether or not we need a nature trail since we already have the trail in Seacliff Park, which is paved.
Well, that's definitely something we can discuss during the, absolutely, yeah. That's something good to know.
And other than that, great job so far. I'm sure I'll find something else to complain about.
Pam was bringing up a point that that would be something good for a mud run for revenue.
Are you referring to the nature trail?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Were there anything, I'm sorry, other than those two areas that you wanted us to review for the roads, and anything else that you see there that you wanted to remove or added as a board?
No, I actually want to give you kudos on this. I mean, you were present when we had the meeting for the budget, right? And I have to say, Chad, way to go. You did a great job. You hit everything that we were talking about. So,
Yeah.
whoever took the notes, awesome.
Thank you. I have a great
Awesome.
team. I can't do it without my team, so.
Oh, absolutely, I get that, but good job.
Yeah, I agree. This is very good. There's a few things though we need to elaborate on, but yeah, you did a great job.
Where would the beach volleyball court be? I haven't heard anything about that.
Which one?
Beach volleyball?
Somewhere down here on this area.
Near the lake?
Yes, ma'am.
You gotta have water to have a beach.
Where's the lake? There's
Yeah, there's water out there. I see it.
Well, there's also, I mean, that may not even be a bad place to, where the little playground is, right outside of the clubhouse. Moving that over to the other playground, and you can open that up even for.
Oh my God, that is an awesome idea. That is an awesome idea. And we're reusing the same spot, so, oh, yeah.
So that's an easy one to do.
Tracy. You wanna bring all that right here?
Yep, we're coming around. That's where you're coming? We're coming around.
Oh, we get to choose a color?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
absolutely.
I should take green, I like
It's
money.
not me if I don't make it fun.
I get the choice. I'll take green.
Okay.
Green for George.
There you go. And we need this for what purpose?
I don't know.
Wait till
We're
you
supposed to
see.
write-
You're about to have a
If you
whole
want to
lot
read
of
it,
fun.
you better not let me write it.
No, so you're just gonna star the ones that you're.
Ah, okay.
Yep, so you try the different colors so you can see who's your
Okay.
favorite one.
Gotcha. I can do
Red
stuff.
mark and all that, I'm just kidding.
Eight.
Am I on? No.
These microphones don't seem to be,
These are nice. So Tracy Straub, I'm the Assistant County Administrator, I work with Chad's team, and so we're gonna have you all do an exercise. And so as you're thinking about this, these are all the items that were on your presentation, and we added in Nature Trail for Mud Run. You'll see that Nature Trail is already here, somewhere, Nature Trail. But maybe it's not just a nature trail now, maybe it's a nature trail for a mud run or something along those lines. Any other ideas you want to put up here? Anything you think would be great out here in Rainbow Lakes Estate?
Yeah,
Are we doing it, or are you gonna?
I'm gonna ask you, we're gonna write it on, and then we're gonna do something in just a minute with the markers.
We have, oh, I'm sorry. We have talked in the past about a dog park
Dog park?
and a splash pad.
All right. We're gonna add dog park. We're gonna add splash pad. What other thoughts?
I'd like a park, small park in the Levy County section.
Yes.
Passive park, park with swings.
Playground.
Love to have a playground for the kids out there, sure.
And perhaps in Winding Hills Park. That's adjacent to the Creative Arts Center.
Would you just ask her?
All right, so playground park in
Playground
Levy
in
County
Winding Hills
and a
Park.
playground park.
Well, there's one
Winding Hills.
park that's already existing, Winding Hills, but there's no,
There's nothing there.
there's no accessories out there, there's no
No-
picnic
no-
tables,
there's no equipment there
playground,
whatsoever.
there's no nothing.
There's parking and everything
that's
else,
it.
but
And so that's called, what area is that called?
Winding Hills Park.
Winding Hills Park. All right, any other ideas? All right, you can keep thinking about those, and if somebody comes up with something, you just throw it out there. So at this time, what I'd like you guys to do, come on around, bring your, yes, sir?
What, do we wanna, at what point do we bring, if there's anybody in the audience that has an idea?
Would the chairman like to take comments from your audience?
I'm sorry.
If you wanna take comments from your audience, if there's any ideas that they've brought to the table?
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do something that we don't usually do at a workshop, but if there's anybody in the audience that has any ideas, now's the time. Can you come up to the, you need him to come up to the
I'll take the microphone over,
Okay.
and then you need to let me know if you want to give me the nod to put that on the board.
Community vegetable garden. Yay, vegetables.
If you're talking about a 5-year projection, if you're already talking about a bike trail, if you go down from the park, is there any way, Denellen's supposed to be a bicycle mecca. Is there a way that these kids could actually go to 41 on a bicycle without having to get hit on these roads around here? I'm just hypothetically talking.
That's funny, I just brought that up about bicycles at last month's meeting.
I was gonna say,
And something to, one of the things that I think that should be on that is putting a bike trail down Rainbow Lakes Boulevard, right here, all the way down to this area here.
but I think more to answer your question, it was brought up in our last meeting, and the sheriff's department was here for that. The issue that we have with being able to get our youth from Rainbow Lakes Estates into the city of Denellen is that Highway 41 is a highway and is not designated or designed for bicycle traffic.
That railroad is gonna be decommissioned, and in the future, it's gonna be a bicycle trail.
Okay, well, at that point, then we can address that because there's currently a intersection modification going on at the end of Rainbow Lakes Boulevard. So that would at least give the kids access to that bike trail. Would that assist? Okay, good.
Our public safety representative here actually contacted
yeah.
DOT and made some great strides and
Yeah,
some
we've got
progress, actually.
We've got the approval for a traffic signal at Rainbow Lakes Boulevard and 41. It is in process, but because of railroad right-of-way and all the other studies and surveys and stuff that have to be done. It's gonna be about 2 years. So it's gonna be a slow process, but probably putting in a crossing for bicyclists would not be a issue. I can bring it up to FDOT and see what they, I have no problem with that.
George, you contacted them, and what work did they do on 41?
Yeah, as far as 41 goes, from 40 south to town, there is a ribbon wide enough for bicycles. But from 40 north, there isn't. And in a lot of areas, there is no real ribbon at all. There's nowhere for them to go. It's not projected to be changed. They're talking about widening from Denellen to 40 within about 3 to 4 years. The plans are to do it further north, from 40 north. I'm not sure the exact end, and that's off in the weeds. That's not even in the plans officially yet. It's something they're talking about. So bicycles going from RLE to Denellen, it's going to be a problem to get to 40 safely. It's just the nature of the business. And with the speed limit coming from 60 to 55, and then down to, well, 55, right at the boulevard. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but in Florida, a speed limit is a suggestion. It's not an actual thing that's followed. So that's going to be another thing, and we're going to address that with the lieutenant here about speed enforcement. People do drive too fast, and especially with bicyclists on the road, it is, I understand, I agree with you, it's dangerous for a bicycle to ride on the road, very dangerous. And, you know, as far as bicycle trails, something like that is pretty expensive to put in. If the justification is there, I would not hesitate to recommend it. But if we don't have the recommendation from, you know, and we've got to have input from people. I'm not excoriating you, sir. I would not do that. But the problem that we have now is we have a lot of people on Facebook, Nextdoor, and whatever else, complaining, but they never come here to express it where it's going to do some good. People want to just complain. I commend you for coming here. I appreciate that. I thank you very much for being here. We'll make a note of this here and we'll look into it. Let's add that to the list. Bicycle access to 41.
So I have added that, and what I can tell you is I put down exactly what Chairman Severlin said was the bike route to on Rainbow Lakes Boulevard.
Right, that would take us to 41. Yeah.
That'll take you to 41. I also put down interest in getting you down to the bigger trail down in Denellen. There's a lot of activity at the state level that is being looked at. That rail spur is being looked at. It's not a quick thing because it's got some funding constraints with it, but it is being talked about, and as Denellen continues to kick in, I think you'll see some more activities happen there.
Okay.
So that's one of those things that I think, yeah, I keep dreaming about, but maybe don't put your money into it immediately.
Okay.
I would also caution you, I'm not on. Got it.
I would also caution you as well on the thought, it's a wonderful idea, the thought of having a bike trail from here all the way down to 41, but I think one of the other issues that you could possibly run into is having the right of way to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
In some areas, the houses are right up close to the road, you're right.
Yeah.
If you go down from the park,
When are they planning on widening?
41?
Yeah.
So,
At this end, I know it's a long.
you know, several years ago, they were moving hot and heavy on that. And then there were some priorities that came up and funding was reprioritized. My last update on that, which was very recently in an email that I had regarding 40 and 41, the intersection, was it is in the design phase, but it has not been funded. So until they get it funded, there is not a specific date yet.
Okay. And I see Mr. Levitt in the audience, I'm sure he has something to say.
Tracy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chair,
Yeah.
Chair, can you, the gentleman wasn't finished yet.
Oh,
You have the fitness center. To the left of the fitness center, you have where all the gravel pits are.
right.
Is that Rainbow Lakes? There's a road right there that goes all the way out to the highway. Is that Rainbow Lakes Station?
No, not all of it.
No.
No. Our property ends at the end of that 14 acres that's sitting there, and that's it.
Don't we have something past that? We have what's fenced in. What's behind the chain link fence further down?
That's, Sumter Electric's property. The street he's talking about is actually a private drive.
Isn't that 133rd or something like that, or 33rd or something?
Yes, it's a private.
That's what I thought, yeah.
I thought it was. Yeah. All right.
You ready? Melissa?
So if these are all of the ideas you want to further in today's conversation with, it's not the end all and the be all, but it gives you something concrete to start working on. What I'd like to do is invite the board up, each have a colored marker, and I'd like you to make 3 marks. So all I'd like is 3 marks from each of you. You can put, what you want to do is pick which of these ideas interest you. And you can put your mark at 3 different locations, or you can put all 3 of your marks at 1 location. But just put a nice little check mark, a star, a circle, whatever makes your day, and let's see what you all think is the most exciting.
And the marks are
To tell us what you all, we're gonna see how things weigh out. If everybody's interested in one project, then let's go try to make that one project happen. But if I've got a mark on all of these, we're gonna have to prioritize. This is gonna help you all see your priorities, what interests you the most. So come do this, it's just a fun exercise. So come on up, bring your marker up, and let's mark them off.
should the chairman be granted like 6 marks?
Oh, fair.
And
No,
then-
but you're gonna have a green
Chair
mustache.
always gets less than everybody else.
Chair, we still have a
Down
gentleman
there had something he
in the
wanted to say.
audience that wanted.
Tracy.
Chairman, you.
Hi, I'm Gary Levitt. I was on the board. One thing we need to do is promote the community center, and I really don't know how to get that out there because the surrounding area needs to know that we rent this out for weddings. And I guess that's part of Katie's job or so forth. And I have to agree with Mr. Sevlin, the pines, the roads. There are a couple spots where the roads are getting caved in because of the pipes that are underneath the roads. That's gonna get pretty bad.
Which road were you talking about, Gary?
Especially at,
Idlewild and Peach Blossom?
yeah, Peach Blossom. And there's one other spot, leading in from Ivy, around the corner. Splash pad, well, I've asked for the splash pad for 2 years now. Dog park, I really don't think that's a good alternative. And there's many reasons for that. And I wanted to ask a question too. I was told, or we were told, that there's gonna be additional parking for food trucks across the way here, but I see 3 houses being built there. Are we receiving any income from that? Did we sell that property? And as far as shuffleboard, horseshoes and so forth, we need more clubs. And it all comes back to this community letter that we received. Nobody gets on Facebook. I mean, there's a few, but not as many as you think. And And I did notice that we were sent out a postcard, but unfortunately, this community really doesn't get into things like we should. A community garden, well, we're not so sure about that. The rentals for, I want to say canoes, but shoot.
Kayaks.
Kayaks. Well, whatever happened to that? I understand they're still hidden away somewhere. I know we're changing things with recreation, because we need to have somebody there, I guess, to collect monies and so forth. And last, thumbs up for the sound system.
Okay, Gary, the parking situation, we own 3 lots across the street. One is on the boulevard and the other 2 adjoin them to the back. So we only own the 1 lot on the boulevard.
Basically, what he's telling you is whoever's gonna buy that end house is gonna end up with a parking lot eventually all the way down behind their whole property, both sides, alongside of it and behind it.
They'll be happy about that.
You know, that,
I bet not.
more of these wonderful fly-by-night builders in the community.
All right, if y'all are ready, bring your marker and you get
All right.
three dots.
3 dots.
I thought it was lines, now it's dots.
Keep in mind that the board has already voted for the renovation of the clubhouse.
Right. Keep in mind, we all like vegetables. Both vegetables.
You put your
Oh,
check mark on the 3 items, so
You said it was not good. And then, yeah, just a minute ago. Well, no, because you don't like vegetables. And here's the deal.
What?
It's not.
Chad, we got a question here about fund balance.
On the fund balance, the 150 for recreation, does that include the found money? Thank you.
I do have a question. Since we have 2 board members who are absent, can we send them a copy of the list and get votes from them too?
Could you keep it down in the audience, please?
So y'all had a question from one of your board members, and Chad, did you have some feedback from any of the other board members?
What?
I didn't even hear the question because of the noise out here.
She had asked if, because we were missing 2 board members, if we should send them the list for them to vote. And that's what she was saying when the meeting started. We asked those board members if there was anything they wanted on the list. And they submitted it to the MSD office and we provided it up there.
Okay, it's up there already. Okay.
So they were already on there, but they don't have a mark beside them. Everything that they had talked about are already on that list, but there are no marks for those votes.
So you all will have to vote formally at one of your meetings when you move forward. However, the idea was that you would all attend this meeting and you would help set direction for your board to take. It's just like if you're not at a regular board meeting and you miss a vote, you're not part of that voting group when the majority decides on something. If you all want to do something different, you all can choose to give staff direction. If you want us to keep this list and bring it back another time, or you've got some clear items marked up here How do you feel about them? Do you feel like they are items that y'all have been talking about as a group and you want to move forward? Your two items that you've got very, very well marked: renovate the art center and add recreation hours for weekend activities and rentals.
Yeah.
Those are your two biggies.
Our Creative Arts Center hasn't had any significant renovation since it's built, as near as I can tell. I don't believe. So, other than some painting and stuff, it's looking sad, looking very sad. The windows need replacement, or at least when you try to look at the lake, hard to see. And actually, there's one place where the glass is cracked. So, that's not very good. The art center would be my first priority, but we've got the clubhouse in process right now. Right, the clubhouse is falling apart. So that has to be done. But the art center, making it more attractive and more pleasant to use is going to help and ensure its future use. We have adding hours for the recreation hours. That is important. Kids don't have enough good quality things to do. And just recently we had vandalism down at Seacliff Park. Filthy stuff was written on the equipment, and people don't, kids don't have enough to occupy their time. And if we can have some good activities where they can have some fun, kibitz with their friends and have a good time and not do anything harmful, maybe possibly learn something for Pete's sakes. I mean, fancy that. I guess I got my 2 cents in there.
I do have a question on the adding the rec hours for the weekend. So we're talking adding another employee for that?
So right now, the rec budget would not be able to handle another full-time position. We have a part-time position in there that we're trying desperately to get filled. And then we can adjust the regular hours during the week so that we will have some employees working later in the evening and on the weekend. That could be one of the goals of your 5-year plan. Year one, immediately, we're going to try to redo those schedules and figure out a way to attract some more applicants for the part-time position, so that way we can make that happen. But right now, that budget is pretty much balanced, so if you add anything that's reoccurring to that budget, we'll have to review the millage rate and possibly raise that to support it.
And you've had no applicants for this part-time position?
We have very few, and then we've made a job offer here recently, and it was declined.
And you had no applicants, I'm going to assume, because the hours are not consistent. Part-time is part-time.
Location, it's part-time, I mean, there's a lot. Katie is saying that we're also looking into a potential intern to fill that position. So, or to fill a need, I guess, additional to that part-time.
I have a question. Would it be possible to take a rec person out of general fund? Because that is where they initially came from. This is the first year we had a recreation.
Ooh, that's a good
You
question.
worked to realign your funds because of who was paying into which funds.
Right.
So that decision was done to try to make your alignments very clear and transparent, and to be using the funds as they had been indicated. So I would hate, that was a step forward, I would hate for us to take a step back in that direction. I do know you have a board member that wants to speak, but what I want to tell you is none of these ideas go away. What we're trying to do is build your 5-year plan. And so we identify what you want us to put, as staff, put emphasis on working towards. And then as we find out that maybe something's not come to fruition, we go to your next item. And we begin to see what the budget allows for and all that. But it helps everybody be on the same page of what is the priority. So if y'all agree, Your priority is the Arts Center and trying to figure out how to make additional weekend activities and rentals come to life, then that's what staff needs to focus their energy on, along with doing all their normal daily activities. But that gives them something to work towards too. And then after that list, redesigning the shuffleboard pit and the horseshoe pit area to make that something. This is a non-answer. It's a redesign, but now we need to start talking about what is it that you want to redesign it to.
Vegetable garden.
I was just gonna ask Chad if he could at least put their votes on there so we have some idea what their wishes were. The two board members who aren't here. Can we do that, or we can't do that?
We can. We can.
Can we underline which ones?
Yeah, we can identify which ones they gave you. I mean, this is,
It's all public record.
yeah, this is all, we can identify which ones were shared with you because this is meant to get you guys all just thinking out loud, thinking and talking. So do we know what came from the other board members? We've got a different color even, and we'll just mark them with a different color. A little underline on it. Underline? I don't get as much weight as because we're here today.
Gotcha. That they only said stuff about the buildings,
The two things.
Okay.
so.
Okay, so that's what we're doing, is the renovate the community center, and renovate the youth center. So, and you already have a mark for that. So does everybody feel like this gives you something? We put everything that's got a mark on it, with renovate the arts center, and look at how to promote additional hours for recreation, rental activities on the weekends. That gets the highest attention and energy, followed by coming up with something. So this needs to become a new discussion. We can enter into some of that discussion today about what do you want to redesign the shuffleboard horseshoe pit area into. That becomes a discussion item that y'all can continue to further, or we can really do some vetting on it today. And then, renovating the clubhouse, renovating the community center, renovating the youth center, and the playground park in Levy County. And looking at, can we do something with a bike route? Rainbow Lakes Boulevard may not be the best route, but we can look at how do we get something out from this area, I'm assuming y'all are thinking this area, out somewhere further. Some sort of paved bike trail that is more of a linear trail. That we can further some conversations on how does that happen.
I do have a question for the two members that click next to redesign. You do realize the word redesign means turn it into something else.
Correct, and that's why I was saying, I mean, I'm not all for removing the shuffleboard and horseshoe pits, but I believe we have too many horseshoe pits. That was my thing, and I've said that multiple times. If we could renovate or redesign one of those horseshoe pits into cornhole, then I think that all we're doing, we have the same space. We're not looking for additional space. We're not making huge amounts of renovation. We're just repurposing the same square footage.
Yeah, that's not a big expense.
More toward the horseshoes than the shuffleboard.
It's not for me. For me personally, I would rather play cornhole. But
Well,
I grew up with.
I think I've
grew up
mentioned-
with horseshoes. But I've also heard the people that out in my area, they would love to come out and play shuffleboard. I don't know how to play shuffleboard. I don't know. But I know that those areas have just been redone.
But I think I've mentioned before at meetings that we don't need 10 horseshoe pits, and 4 of them could be turned into cornhole pits.
You were in my head. Get out of my head.
You don't have 20 friends to play horseshoes with?
All right, because I'm not in favor of doing away with anything.
No, I am not either, but when I see redesign doesn't necessarily mean that what's existing has to be removed, but let's add something to it, like the concrete cornhole.
Yeah. Reconfigure.
That's still a redesign.
Reconfigure.
Right, okay, I just wanted to clarify what you all meant. with that,
Redesign,
you know.
reconfigure.
And-
Okay,
and
let's play semantics.
But let me clarify, so you may not have additional space, so you're simply just saying, I have 10 horseshoe pits today, and so let me take away 4 of the horseshoe pits and make 4 cornhole.
Wonderful.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
I'm
are-
sure
are-
everybody's hearing. the
Are
same thing.
you aware that the redesigning of the shuffleboard and the horseshoes would probably have to include the basketball court fence? Because the fence is not around the basketball court, the purpose is to keep the alligators from coming in that whole area.
Oh, absolutely. I think that there's no reason
So
why.
that's actually a combination thing.
Exactly, but then that would be
Before-
something
before
that we would bring up and vote upon when they started to go out for bid to do any of the work, right? So if we say, yes, let's redesign the current shuffleboard so that we have cornhole, we have updated horseshoes, we have the updated shuffleboard, we already have, the shuffleboard area has been repainted, the the basketball court has been resurfaced. Let's protect our investment now and put the necessary safety fencing around it.
Right.
That would be the way I would approach it.
Right.
The main reason you need that fence is to keep the ball from going, and the kids chasing in there to get eaten by alligators.
Mr. Chairman.
I just wanted to clarify.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
That was all.
Mr. Chairman, I also want to clarify, the fence is not going to go all the way around the basketball court, just the side that's near the lake.
Yeah, just.
So it's going to run up that side.
We're talking about a safety barrier for the children.
Yes.
You're going up
Thank you.
alongside
Yes,
the tree.
absolutely.
Alongside the tree line from, I think, the corner of the fence down at the bottom, over on the
Right.
back side of the basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would
And I do
prevent
think
the
that-
alligators from, that come out there now and sun they must love that purple color.
And I was gonna say, that particular project, I would like to see at least that piece of it move forward, because we've already had a couple of issues with that, so.
Okay, I'd like consensus from the board, because you all have left where you did some marks. Nobody put a mark next to the fencing. But we had this redesigned shuffleboard, so going with redesigned shuffleboard, you're gonna remove 4 of your horseshoe pits. When we say 4 of those pits, we mean actually 2 games, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, so it's 8.
Okay, so then you would install 2 games of with 4 of the.
Correct.
Okay, make apples to apples.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then at the same time, that's important to go ahead and contemplate the fencing going in on the water side with that.
Correct.
Okay, am I seeing everybody's head nod consensus?
Mhm.
Are you taking?
Yes.
Nod, please.
I'm not sure that I'm seeing that, but I am seeing a majority. Again, everything is subject to budgeting.
I'm in agreement with that, so.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so,
What's that?
again,
I would put a fence around the whole thing. Alligators aren't gonna go to the end of the thing, of the fence and say, oh, there's a fence here, I can't go any
Well,
further when there's no fence.
I think
around corner
the
or
fence would connect to,
The fences around all that area.
I tell you what, y'all do not have to get caught up in that level of detail. Again, you're trying to picture your projects, and when staff looks at this and we say, one, I clearly heard, you need the fence to stop the balls from going into the water.
That would
So
be the other
that's
part.
your number one portion of the fence, and let's see what the funding looks like. And if you can fence the whole thing versus just one piece to start with, and then come back the next year and fence the rest of it, we can get to that when you actually move on that project. But we want to agree that that's time and energy that you want your staff working on.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. So, hey, these are really good. These are all very much concrete items, and if we stay the course, we can accomplish. And that's what's important is for us to actually see something get done out here. So with that said, we want to take this information back. We want to do some looking at it, do some field visits, get some quotes going, and kind of see where we think pricing might be, what you can and can't afford in your budget. And again, we're going to go, number one, we want to look at, and we're going to have to talk about what does renovating the Arts Center actually mean.
Okay, that's what I was gonna go there. Yeah, what do you all think renovating the Art Center actually means? I know that we've talked about removing the one wall.
Yep.
And replacing all the cabinets and countertops that are
Right.
in there with cabinets, countertops, maybe a coffee machine eventually.
Is that a load-bearing wall?
I am aware that the building, Pam, you're having the building interior painted soon?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. What the building is being used for presently, one of the groups, as a matter of fact, it's the biggest user of the building.
I know.
They do quilting and really require long tables, and it takes a lot of space. So the consideration here with taking out the wall in the largest section, it makes it a lot easier, makes it a lot more user-friendly, and makes it a lot more useful for its intended purpose. So as far as the wall being load-bearing, I don't know if it is or not, but that,
I don't see.
I don't think it
I
is.
think we would have to have an engineer's report,
Yeah.
of
yeah,
course.
you gotta have an engineer.
But since that wall goes across the building only in one room, and the rest of the building does not have that wall, I don't see it being a load bearing, so I don't. The other thing would be electric, because of some of the clubs need additional electric, so that there'd have to be an upgrade on outlets.
More than likely, it was built with trusses. If it was built with trusses, it's not load-bearing anyway.
And then
Were
keep
they
in
building
mind,
with trusses back in the 50s?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
they did.
Were they?
Oh, yeah.
keep in mind that if you're gonna do a renovation or you're gonna start touching it, you're gonna have to bring it up to ADA compliance as well.
Exactly.
Well,
That's not
which,
enough.
which would in that building include what, a ramp, because the bathrooms are outside?
Well, you'd have to be able to access those bathrooms, so if the wall needs, if the doorway needs to be widened, if the stalls need to be reconfigured, all of that.
Even though they're on the outside of the building?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you gotta be able to get a wheelchair in there.
Absolutely.
Well, at that point, if we were going to do something like that, then that building should have access from the inside so that the people using it don't have to go outside.
Well, don't forget that that still is, those bathrooms are still part of the Whiting Hills Park. So you can't lock them out from the outside.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the existing schematic of the building as far as restrooms and the bulk of the building, I would stand behind and leave it that way. As far as removing some of the walls within the inside, I think we can discuss that. But I'm gonna push back a little bit here and say that I think some of the more important issues regarding safety need to be handled first in that building. For instance, the pipe that runs across the doorway. That needs to be addressed and removed.
It's not legal by any stretch.
Okay, again, it needs to be addressed and removed.
That was not a good idea. No, not a good idea at all.
And then we can talk about which walls we really want down.
Right, I agree.
Okay, okay.
That's where this exercise is good.
Commissioners, not being very familiar with rear facilities, I'm an outsider. I'm going to ask a question. When you talked about the quilters, and I've done a couple of quilts in my time with my aunts and my family, it's fun. You have a nice big room here. Would you want to spend a lot of money taking down a wall for quilters that maybe they would be better suited in this room? Just
They
an
could probably-
outsider's question.
The thing is, we don't have good evaluation of what the purposes for each building is.
Okay.
The clubhouse, there's a possibility, there's a large room in there that could, that would be useful for that. But, as far as defining a use specific to each building, we probably should do that first. you know, what should go here, what should go there, what should be removed there, whatever. But the definition of the buildings needs to be established.
Well, Mr.
You know,
McKay,
the thing is, this building, the clubhouse, the youth center, they're all rentable buildings for revenue. And we have heard numerous complaints from different clubs that when this building's rented or that one's shut down, they're being shuffled from building to building. You know, and if we have the Creative Arts Center and it's brought up to standards, we could also put other clubs out in the Creative Arts Center that would free these buildings up so that these buildings, the purpose is more for rental than anything else.
I'll give you an example, just so you understand. Currently, our Domino's Club is meeting here. They used to always meet in the clubhouse, but that is no longer available to them. And it's not advantageous for them to go all the way out to the Creative Arts Center because most of their members reside in this local area. So they've been transferred to the community center for their group. So I think that's kind of what you were saying is like, and I'm fine with making sure that, you know, we have a Creative Arts Center for creative arts, we have a community center, which is a revenue-based building, the same thing for the clubhouse, and so on. But I do think that as a board, we need to be a little flexible. You know, I think that...
Of course.
Yeah.
One of the things that, a few years ago, we had a theater club that wanted to rent this building where they would have their rehearsals, and we would get a percentage of their ticket sales. Well, that would occupy this building several times a month. Now, that specific club did not work out very well, but there might be another one down the road, and that would be great to be able to have these buildings for other, you know, revenue purposes.
Yeah.
I do think you described it very well. There's some compromise and that will have to be made, and then you also will have to help set the tone for staff, because when clubs begin to take ownership of their space, clubs in competition with each other, occupying space, so you have to provide some firm guidance on that. But again, that's where you'll make those decisions, and I know Chad's been looking at the buildings, but when you find out what this costs, that may be where you go, you know what, this isn't, we can do pieces of this, but we can't afford all of this, and we have to compromise and come up with some other solutions for where do you put the quilting club relative to some other
Mr. Chairman.
And Chad, you're thinking removing a non-load bearing wall would turn into a whole renovation of ADA compliant?
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
It's gonna trigger that threshold, yeah, they're gonna make us bring it up to ADA compliance. Building code, if you will.
And I have a question. When they lay the quilts out, that's not every time they meet, correct?
Oh yeah, every time.
Usually they put them together, like we had a quilting club, and they would come in here before this quilting club and would lay them out on the floor here. We let them use the building.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't a
See,
big thing.
what they got set up right now in the,
They were actually, if I may finish, they were actually where the poker club meets the sewing club was. And that they would do quilting there. And it's way smaller than the building, the area they're in now. Also, several years ago, the board voted and made the decision that all clubs would meet in the clubhouse. Unless they have over 100 people, then they could use this building.
okay, the facility has one room where the kitchenette is, the entrance. They set up 2 tables there, and they put them up on risers so they can, you know, lay out the quilts. You gotta have the large area, and it takes the 2 tables. And one person doing that, if there's another one who wants to do it, there's no place to put it.
I got you, okay. I didn't
And
know,
what club is this?
they worked on big quilts.
Quilting,
And they would come here
Marcy's.
and put them in the floor and do what they needed to do with them. And they did it maybe twice a month or something.
And even before, you know, we sign on the dotted line to remove a wall, we also have a room that's a lot longer than that room that is being occupied by the poker club and the old Files for Crime Watch. And it might be very well to move that, which would be, that room's got to be at least 40 feet long by at least, I'm gonna guess, 16 feet wide. They could put tables right in the middle. Of course, it does not have the view of the lake that the other room has, but
So, I will check with actually, the lieutenant will be here tonight. I'll check with her and see about getting those old files out. Because there's a desk and everything in there.
There's also equipment in there that I believe belongs to RLE, because there is a monitor in there for all of the cameras that are
Yeah, that
around.
has to stay.
I would like to have that removed from where it's currently at. If you have,
It's gonna take some money because they have to move the wiring and all that.
all right, well, let's at least remove the equipment then, please. Well, because you're gonna be renting that you're gonna be using that room out. And currently, the last time that we did a tour in there, the monitors were still set up in that room, next to the files that were open to anybody that went in there.
Dan, where would you propose that we move all this monitoring equipment to?
I think we'll need to talk about it. I think that my first suggestion would be either to the district office or to the rec center, to the recreation office.
Pam, that equipment can't be moved from the location, right? Just so anybody's aware, there is an old kiln room there that could very easily be a table and
Oh my God,
shut,
that works.
and a door put on it with a lock.
Well, so can that middle one that you guys are talking about, the pipe, that is a maintenance room. It could be moved in there if you want to move it, but the problem is that's a security system.
Okay,
for that
so,
building. So I
and
don't-
that's why I'm saying where it's currently residing
Right.
puts us as a whole at risk because
So-
it's available to anybody that goes in there.
I would think the cost of moving some monitors and wiring would be a lot less than removing a wall.
It's just the monitor, the actual DVR itself is in that lockbox, and we don't, I think IT has access to that.
Okay,
So
well,
you
let's,
can remove the monitor.
See, I don't see the Creative Arts Center needing major renovations, paint, some new cabinets. I don't see major, and I don't think removing that wall would be a major, but if you're correct that the building has to be brought up to certain standards, then yes, that would be a problem.
So when our facilities directors from Marion County rode out here with me when we were looking at the clubhouse, and he actually recommended a company that we can have come in and assess any of the buildings that you're wanting to upgrade, and they can actually provide us with report. It's gonna cost a little bit of money, but it's not a whole lot of money. And they can provide you with a report that tells you exactly what they recommend that we should do, if we need to bring it up to ADA compliance, if it has, possible, how do you say that?
asbestos.
Right there. It's worth it. We've used them a couple times throughout the county, and I think it would be a very valuable tool to help you guys make a decision.
Right.
And they would be able to tell you if it's a load-bearing wall and if you should keep it or remove it.
Okay.
Just food for thought if you guys are gonna go that route.
Quite frankly, if I was talking about renovating, since you're talking about renovating buildings, that would be the first thing I would do before I made any decisions. So that you know where you are, it's like a roadmap.
And you have a
to
good
get
idea,
you
yeah.
To where you wanna go.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's just that where that security system currently is residing, that is a viable, usable room.
Right.
But I don't think everybody needs to see what is being monitored and recorded.
Yeah,
I think that puts us as a community at risk.
Keep in mind the fire marshal, that signature that's on the signs has not been an employee of Marion County Fire Service for probably close to 20 years now, and nobody has been out to inspect any of these buildings since then.
Okay.
So,
And I don't think that pipe would
But I-
pass muster.
Yeah, and I do like your idea, because that would be very cost effective to take those lines where they're currently, because I know which wall it's on, drop it to the other side, You can set it back up any way you want to. Now it's out of the public domain and it's in a private room. So I thank you, I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
But until that time, we can remove the monitor.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
So, because, that is IT and it's technical, what I'd like to do is before we commit to doing anything with that, let the team talk to our IT team, and see if it's just as simple as removing a monitor, or how quickly it would take to do some reconfiguration that secures that area up a little bit more. So we can do that easy enough and consensus that if it's just as simple as IT moving something around, they can make that happen if there's not any real cost in that.
Yeah.
And then I'm also hearing, not at your meeting you have tonight, but at your upcoming meeting, Chad is going to bring you back a proposal to have the building walked through by a building inspector of some sort.
Yep, I can have him give us a quote and I can present that to the board for approval. Do you want me to get one for each one of the buildings you guys are recommending that we reconfigure?
I would like to see
Community
that.
center and the youth center, and the arts center.
I think it'd be money well spent.
I'm sorry, Arts Center, the community center that's this one. I don't know if we need that. I think we're pretty much where we need to be with this, right?
Some of them aren't renovating it.
Doesn't the roof?
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I do believe we need a new roof, but I think that's in this budget for this year already.
No,
It is not,
no, it's gonna be next year,
next year.
but the kitchen and the bathrooms. And just the cabinets, and in bathrooms, it's just the partitions and maybe the countertop that needs to be something done with it.
Okay, but that's really, for me, that's not really a renovation, it's a lipstick thing. So I'm like, new cabinets, new countertops, okay, but we're okay, we're not having to,
Structurally, yes.
we're not
I think it's
having,
fine.
thank you, that's what I'm saying, we're not having to
Yeah.
replumb, remove
No.
walls, change
Correct.
electric, okay.
You know what's funny is I believe the Creative Arts Center could be, I don't believe it needs major renovations.
No.
The building that does need the major renovations is the youth center.
Okay, so, but hold on, y'all now gone a couple places. So, okay, 3 check marks on Arts Center, so that was where you put priority.
Right.
Then I just heard a conversation that we did not present to y'all, that you're saying this building needs a roof. Roofs are not free, so this is what we're trying to do, is get you into a funding. Has that actually been identified, that this building is ready for a roof?
It's not been inspected, no.
Okay, I mean, are you aware of leaks and issues? Do we know how old the roof is?
How
I'm
old,
gonna say
how old is the roof on this building?
18 years ago.
All right, so I'm gonna suggest to y'all that a roof is important, and again,
Yes.
it's not cheap. So you're gonna have to factor that in. So
Maybe 15, I don't know. It's been something.
you're probably at the time period that y'all need to be contemplating that roof.
Yeah.
So here's what I hate to tell you this, but this is what, as a board, you all have to decide to do, but I think you probably need to bump assessing this roof
That's gonna need to go on that list,
to the
sorry.
top and let it get evaluated when your gentlemen, when we bring somebody out, let them look at this facility, and then you can decide at that time what's the lipstick pieces of it as well. If that's, so we're talking today, we're gonna document this all and put this in a little bit more of a structured format for you to look at, and you know why we did what we did. We're gonna tell you why did we put this building maybe number 1 with a roof, this building number 2, so that you all can say, that makes sense, because again, your staff needs to be able to stay the course and get some things done for you timely. Does that seem reasonable?
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
one of the things I was going to bring up at tonight's meeting, as you're all well aware, we just went through a hurricane. There is not a disaster shelter available anywhere nearby. It's not very close at all. I'm wondering, is this building capable of doing that?
No.
No, It would have, out of any of the buildings that we have currently sitting here, George, the only one that could handle that would be the current clubhouse. It's the only one that has its own standalone generator. Everything else, no. I'm
No.
being told no.
It's more than that. Florida Building Code and all kinds of things have to be taken into consideration when you talk about anything being a shelter. So I am sure when these buildings were built, they're not up to that. I'll give you an example. We used to use Dunellen High School as a shelter, and we no longer use it as a shelter for hurricanes because of the wind load factor that it's able to take. And I'm sure these buildings are not capable of handling what the standard is today.
Okay, is there a possibility of something being able to be retrofitted?
George, this has come up since 2017.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing these buildings could be used for is a relief center after the storm has passed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Mr. McKay, I mean, so your clubhouse with that generator that you're talking about was built in 1963. I do not recommend that you all assume that kind of liability. I would not make that recommendation to my Board of County Commissioners that we assume that kind of liability. Your emergency management team, which is overseen by our sheriff's office, they go into an excellent shelter operation. I realize you don't feel like one is immediately close to you, but again, resources are important, and so trying to get folks to where we can provide those resources, whether it be the generator, whether it be oxygen for folks, additional medical needs and such as that. Even animal services. You know, some of ours we had on setup so that they could take in animals and you could bring your pet with you. So I don't encourage you at all to take that path. It's a wonderful, heartfelt feeling to try to do that for the community, but it is taking on a tremendous responsibility.
And
Okay,
there's a
well-
lot more that goes into it than just opening the doors.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
You have to have staff, you have to have security, food, because, I mean, if people are gonna be somewhere for days, I mean, that's why we use the schools, because we have the cafeterias that they can come in and they can make a meal and all the different things, restrooms, all the
Well, you know, it's okay for Ocala people to say that, but being on this end of the county, there isn't really anything for people. If God forbid, there should be a terrible calamity.
Well, we always open, now
Westport
Westport
High
High
School is
School
open.
is always a shelter that's open, every time. I don't realize it might not be in Dunellen, but it is in the southwestern part of
Okay.
the county.
Okay.
Yeah,
And what is a wonderful thing to do for when a community is hit, this is the after place to come to.
Right.
Because people need to pick up cleaning supplies. They need to pick up a warm meal. This is this is the community part of what
Okay.
comes in
Right.
next. Let
Absolutely.
emergency services take on
You
that
know,
shelter.
you also have to go on the surroundings. Half these houses were built in the 1960s, and how many hurricane shutters do you actually see?
None.
None.
I took mine off. They looked ugly.
And there's the advantage, we'll just go to Dan's house and have champagne Thursday.
You can't use my house right now, okay? I have an 18-year-old roof that is now up to be replaced because Milton took part of it away.
Well, if we drink that champagne, we won't know when the roof blows off.
You're right, we didn't.
So I think you all are probably winding down on your workshop unless you say something else. So here's what we're gonna do as staff. We're gonna consolidate this list. Everything stays on the list, but we're gonna prioritize it for you. And tell you that number one is we're gonna do a building assessment, and let's see what the roofs look like, because those cost money. And so let's do your building assessments, and let's plan on expenditures associated with the definite items with that, like re-roofing. I know Chad's been contemplating that for a while.
Which buildings am I doing, just so I'm clear, which buildings am I doing the assessments on?
We've definitely heard you want to assess this building.
Art center, the community center roof,
Do we
or
need,
I can do the whole building and then we can take that report and,
Right.
which other building did you guys want me to get an assessment? Youth center?
Yeah, the youth center, community center, and the creative arts center.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have the company come out here and take a look and give us a quote, and I'll present that quote to the board for approval, and then we can go from there, if that's
The
okay.
clubhouse has already been done, right?
clubhouses are in.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to bring something else up about your presentation, where it stated that Levy County is not paying into the recreation fees. Dan, I know you have brought this up with the Levy County Commissioners.
I did, and this is something I'm gonna need to work directly with Chad Wicker on. After my conversations with my colleagues in Levy County, early on, it wasn't even presented to them. Later, the way it was presented was that those funds are used to maintain the facilities for recreation within Rainbow Lakes Estates. That created an issue for Levy County because there are no facilities in Levy County for recreation. So I want to work with you on perhaps how we can present it this year so that that can be included. I've already talked to the people that, the people I represent in Levy County. They have no issue with paying the recreation fees. There is probably 3 or 4 people that are like, no, I'm not paying another dime. But the bulk of the people out there feel that if they're entitled and can use these facilities, why wouldn't we pay for them?
I think there's an easy fix. Why not have Levy County residents pay a membership that is equal to what Marion County pays in recreation fees, like we do in in Marion Oaks?
Yes, ma'am, we do that in Marion Oaks and Silver Spring Shores.
Yeah, that way you're not having to.
We don't do that now, but we can, absolutely.
So,
And you would be surprised at the number of people that would absolutely follow suit with that.
and then they get a card or whatever that identifies them as being paid. Now, my question is, they're able to use the facilities now, correct?
Yes.
Without paying.
Correct.
Katie?
I just want to comment. So Silver Spring Shores and Marion Oaks, they have a whole community.
It's
center
different,
fee.
yeah.
Yeah, so ours is a little bit different, the fee schedule. So Levy County currently, like for the fitness center and for the youth center, they pay that increased fee that Marion County residents have a lower fee to use them because they're in the tax district. So we kind of have it set up that way already for where we are at, but we can always look at that fee schedule and change it into an entire community center membership to match the other community centers.
The other piece of that is that you are looking to have a playground in Levy County.
Yes, that's why I'm pushing that.
We would need to figure out how to handle that, and that might just be a different type of partnership with Levy County. We might be able to find a different opportunity with them.
Okay.
I think, so what you're saying is, let's sit down and talk, and we can identify that in the master plan as a wish list item, and it becomes an
Correct.
actionable thing.
I would
Yeah,
like
because-
staff take that and come back with some recommendations when you are gonna go over this 5-year plan. Because they'll come up with great recommendations, I assure you.
Yeah,
And
because,
they'll also vet everything through legal and all the things.
yeah, because the residents aren't kicking back on it. They're really not. I think there's like 4 of them out there. I mean, we've now got 68 residents out there, full-time residents. And out of the 68, I think we have maybe 4 that have been there long-term that are like, no, we're not paying anything else. But I mean, we have the same thing here too. And it's like, the way I present it is, look, nobody wants to pay more on taxes. Nobody does. But if you want the benefits, they have to be paid for. They're not free. So, and when you present it to them and, it's like, look, you've been getting away with this because the district office doesn't look at us any differently. We still have access, but you have to understand, you're not paying for that service.
All right, so we're gonna summarize these items. We're gonna identify first and foremost, the buildings are gonna get their inspection. And we're going to certainly say, if anything is apparent out of roofing needs, immediately we have to set aside money for that.
Right.
And then we'll talk about how to continue that maintenance operation. Besides that, you want to look at renovating that art center And so as the gentleman comes out, we'll look at that wall and the other needs with that. In the immediate, we'll also talk to IT about what needs to happen with the monitoring and security. We're going to look at adding rec hours is going to go on the list as a priority. For that will help you increase your rental potentially, which is a good thing. And then we're going to look at redesigning the shuffleboard horse pit area, what that's going to take to put in some cornhole in place of some of the horseshoe area. And then we're going to not ignore bike route potentials and the playground. We're going to identify, trying to work with Levy County on a Parks and Rec item. And then everything else is going to go on the list, so that you know that it's out there, that if those are wish list items you can continue. If you manage to get through all of these things, or if you find out one of them is just way too expensive, but I can slip one of these other items in, you'll have something identified that you can do it. But we'll start by putting this a little bit more formal, letting y'all shake it out a little bit again, and get you moving forward. Perfect. We good?
Right.
I think there's a couple of things that are pretty low-hanging fruit on there that you could possibly accomplish not in your 5-year, that wouldn't be in your 5-year plan. And just for an example, I mean, the lady who talked about the community vegetable garden, I think that's something that if you guys can identify a space, I think the community could come together and possibly do that one, right? Your concrete cornhole. I haven't looked at your horseshoe things over there, but I don't know, that might be able to be accomplished fairly easily, or finding an opportunity to have those. So keep that in mind too as you're working through it. And then the other thing I would like to remind you of is, remember, a 5-year plan also can be very fluid, because you're going to look at it every year. And if something pops up that you deem, or whatever board is sitting here deems, becomes a higher priority than what you have, you can update it and change it. So just remember that going forward as well.
I look at it as the whole plan as a wish list. We wish we could have all this.
But it's important when you do that plan, when we do our 5-year plans with our commissioners, what we tell them is, look, once you're in the plan, the community likes to know they're in the plan.
Right.
Then when you're in years 1 and 2 of the plan, we try to make sure you're set, because we're beginning to kind of plan for those things. We're already starting some pre-prep on them, and the community's getting excited about them. So I try not to do a lot of shuffling year 1 and 2. I might have to move something around a little bit because of some funding constraints, but once you're in the plan, to try to keep you in the 5-year plan, and then we just do a little bit of adjustments in your later years. But once we get you up into those immediate years, we want to see those things come to fruition. They want to see that we deliver things that we told them we were going to do.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. So with that said, I hand this back over to the chairman. I'll quit talking.
I think this lady, this,
You have, I'll look at my, you have to have an independent guy come in and assess. You can't have a code enforcement guy from, I speak louder now. A code enforcement guy from Marion County.
No.
It has to be an individual.
We want somebody certified that can come in and actually evaluate.
But don't we have a code
A
enforcement?
code enforcement officer that says, you need to move that broken down vehicle out of your car. You think that guy can?
No, they're inspectors, aren't they? I mean.
No,
inspectors
code-
are-
Code official.
They are paid to do bike permit.
Okay.
They're not extra. They're not paid for out of general fund. They are paid for solely when you come and get a building permit.
That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
I just have a question.
Are you open, sir?
I just feel this building has so much potential. As far maybe have a DJ once a month and a dance and so forth. And I'd like to find out what the perimeters are for a part-time job, since I do nothing.
I didn't hear volunteer, but part of it.
Well, I just like to know the perimeters if I fill out an application. I don't want to fill out an application and say, you suck. I just want to know what the perimeters are.
I could email you the job description and the link to the application site.
All right, well, I think this is winding down. Anybody else have anything they want to add? And you'll be getting,
I just want to thank Chad and his staff. You guys did an amazing job on this, and I'm sorry that it got thrown on you the way it did, but I do appreciate you doing all of the work that you have put into it. I really do. For a person that comes from this kind of an environment, this kind of a roadmap is vitally important to move the community forward. So I just want you to know I do appreciate all of the hard work you guys did.
Thank you very much. We
Yes.
appreciate you being patient with us as well.
Yeah, I want to thank you so much. You did a great job. You and your staff, please let them know that.
and you'll be getting back to us with all this when?
So Chairman, so all of this is public record. We will be keeping these hard copies, we'll be making them electronic and making sure that they're part of your record. And then, Chad, what is our timeline for our next meeting on this item?
November something would be the next meeting.
You've got to get a guy out here, I would probably say after the first of the year, by the time you get everything done.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometime in January, February, we can set up. Would we need to do another workshop, or would it just be presented during a board?
So what I would like to do is, we need to get this into a draft document format and then bring it to them, and it would be fine to bring it to them at their board meeting and present it, let you all read it, review it, take comments on it. do some
We're talking January or February?
Yeah.
What kind of cost is it?
Yeah, I did want to point out, we don't have a December
We gotta
meeting.
come out and tell you.
I'm gonna present to the board a quote for that. So
All right.
I'm gonna get a quote from him, present it to the board for their approval, and then,
Chad, you
Do
have
that in November.
anything else to add?
yes.
Everybody done? All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming today, and I think we accomplished some stuff. We'll find out in January, February.
I'll learn how to make a star.
Our monthly board meeting is at 6:30 tonight in this room, and I hope to see you all there. Thank you for coming.